The coffee cup slipped from my hand, shattering against the kitchen tile, dark liquid spreading like blood across the white grout. But I barely noticed. My eyes were locked on my wife's phone screen, the one she'd left charging on the counter while she showered upstairs. Last night was incredible. I can still feel you inside me. The message had popped up 3 seconds ago, from someone named Travis K. The preview showed 2 more lines beneath it, but I didn't need to read them. My hands were shaking as I picked up the phone, my thumbprint, still registered from when we had nothing to hide from each other, unlocking it instantly. I'm Nathan Cole, 42 years old, senior architect at Brennan & Associates in Portland, Oregon. Married to Jennifer for 16 years. Father to 2 kids, Emma, 14, and Lucas, 11. Up until 30 seconds ago, I thought I had a pretty good life. The message thread loaded. I scrolled up, my heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my throat. Can't wait until Thursday. Tell me again what you're going to do to me. That was from Jennifer. My Jennifer, sent 2 days ago. I scrolled further. Weeks of messages. Months, maybe. Photos that made my stomach turn. Nothing explicit, thankfully, but suggestive enough. Jennifer in lingerie I'd never seen. Jennifer at a hotel I didn't recognize. Jennifer's lips pursed in a kiss directed at the camera. The shower was still running upstairs. I could hear the pipes humming through the walls of our 1920s craftsman home, the one we'd restored together over 5 years, the one where we'd planned to grow old. My fingers moved on autopilot, forwarding the entire conversation to my email. Then I opened her photo gallery. More pictures, dozens of them. I sent those too. Then I checked her calendar. Yoga class. Appeared every Tuesday and Thursday evening for the past 4 months. Jennifer didn't do yoga. She'd always said it was boring. I heard the water shut off upstairs. The old pipes groaned and settled. I had maybe 3 minutes before she came down. I opened her email app. An automatic login. I searched for Travis and found confirmations for hotel rooms. The Riverside Inn mostly. A cheap place off Highway 26, the kind with hourly rates and a parking lot hidden from the street. I forwarded everything I could find to myself, my hands moving faster now, fueled by something between rage and pure survival instinct. Footsteps on the stairs. I closed everything, put the phone back exactly where it had been, and grabbed paper towels to clean up the spilled coffee. By the time Jennifer walked into the kitchen, her blonde hair wrapped in a towel, wearing the terry cloth robe I'd bought her last Christmas, I was on my knees wiping up the mess. "You okay?" she asked, pouring herself orange juice from the fridge. I looked up at her. Really looked at her. The woman I'd met at a mutual friend's barbecue in 2008. The woman who'd cried happy tears when I proposed on Cannon Beach. The woman who'd held my hand through my father's funeral and her mother's cancer diagnosis. The woman who'd given birth to our children and built this life with me, brick by brick, year by year. "Yeah," I said, my voice somehow steady. Cup slipped. She smiled. That same warm smile I'd fallen in love with. And took a sip of her juice. "I'm meeting Ashley for lunch today. That new place on Division Street. Want me to grab you anything?" Ashley. Her supposed best friend. I wondered if Ashley knew. If she was covering for Jennifer, providing alibis while my wife screwed some guy named Travis at a highway motel. "No, I'm good," I said. "Actually, I've got a site visit in Beaverton. Might be late." "Okay." She kissed the top of my head as she passed, her hand briefly touching my shoulder. The casual intimacy of 16 years together. "Love you." The words stuck in my throat, but I forced them out. "Love you too." She headed back upstairs to get dressed. I heard our bedroom door close. I stood up, threw the soaked paper towels in the trash, and walked to my home office. My laptop was already on. I logged into my email and saw the forwarded messages arriving, one after another. 43 emails in total. I downloaded everything to a folder, then backed it up to 3 different cloud services. Then I sat there, staring at the screen, my mind racing through possibilities. I could confront her right now, storm upstairs and demand the truth. But what would that accomplish? She'd deny it, probably. Or she'd cry and apologize and promise it meant nothing. She'd beg for forgiveness, and in my emotional state, I might actually consider it. I might let her convince me that our 16 years together mattered more than whatever this thing with Travis was. No, I needed to think. I needed to be smart about this. I pulled up a new browser window and started searching. Divorce attorneys, Portland, Oregon. Then I paused and added another search. Oregon divorce adultery laws. The results weren't encouraging. Oregon was a no-fault divorce state. Jennifer's affair wouldn't matter much in court, at least not for asset division. But for custody? That might be different. I heard Jennifer's footsteps on the stairs again. I quickly closed the browser windows and pulled up a work file, blueprints for a commercial renovation downtown. "Heading out," she called from the hallway. "See you tonight." The front door opened and closed. Through my office window, I watched her get into her white Honda CR-V and back out of the driveway. She was wearing jeans and a green sweater, her hair styled, makeup perfect. "Meeting Ashley for lunch," she'd said. I pulled out my phone and did something I never thought I'd do. I opened the App Store and downloaded a GPS tracking application. The GPS tracker installs in 47 seconds. I watch the progress bar fill on my phone screen. Then Jennifer's location blooms on the map. A blue dot currently stationary at the corner of Hawthorne and 32nd. Not Ashley's house. Ashley lives in Selwood, 12 blocks south. I set the phone face down on my desk and returned to the Riverside Project elevations. The lines blur. I redraw the same window detail 3 times before admitting I'm not going to accomplish anything useful today. At 2:47 p.m., my phone vibrates. Jennifer's dot is moving east on Division. I watch it track toward 82nd, then turn south. Not toward home. The blue dot stops at a location that makes my stomach drop. The Riverside Inn. Same motel. Saturday afternoon and she's there again. I screenshot the location. Save it to the same encrypted folder as the forwarded messages. She stays for 93 minutes. When she arrives home at 5:20, I'm in the kitchen prepping dinner. Chicken breasts, asparagus, the rice cooker already steaming. She comes through the garage door with shopping bags from Target. "Got the kids' stuff for next week," she says, setting the bags on the counter. Emma needed new jeans. Lucas needs everything, apparently. I nod, keeping my hands busy with the knife. "How was Ashley?" "Good, same as always." She pulls items from the bags: jeans, socks, a package of undershirts. "We did lunch at that Thai place on Belmont, then I ran errands." The lie comes so easily. No hesitation, no tells. I've read that skilled liars maintain more eye contact than truth-tellers, compensating for the deception. Jennifer looks directly at me, smiling. "Sounds nice," I say. She moves behind me, wraps her arms around my waist, rests her chin on my shoulder. "Thanks for making dinner." I can smell her shampoo. The same shampoo she's used for 12 years. Beneath it, something else. Unfamiliar soap, different from what we keep in our bathrooms. "No problem," I manage. She kisses my neck and releases me, heading upstairs with the shopping bags. I finish cutting the chicken with hands that want to shake but don't. Sunday passes in a simulation of normalcy. We take the kids to the Science Museum. Lucas gets excited about the earthquake simulator. Emma tolerates the outing with teenage forbearance, earbuds in whenever we're not directly addressing her. Jennifer holds my hand while we walk through the exhibits. She laughs at Lucas's enthusiasm. She looks like the woman I married. The GPS tracker shows her phone staying with us all day. No deviations. Monday morning, I'm at the office by 7:30. The Riverside project deadline looms. Final drawings due to the client by end of week. I force myself to focus, to produce work that meets my standards. The routine helps. Dimensions, specifications, code requirements. Problems with clear solutions. At 10:15, my phone vibrates. Jennifer's dot is moving. Not toward her usual Tuesday yoga class. That's tomorrow. The dot tracks north on Interstate, then west on Highway 26, toward the Riverside Inn. I watch for 3 minutes, then close the app. I know where she's going. She returns home at 1:40 p.m. The dot sits in our driveway for the rest of the afternoon. That evening, I tell her I need to work late on Tuesday. Client revisions that can't wait. She nods sympathetically. I've got yoga anyway, she says. I'll pick up the kids after. Perfect, I say. Tuesday at 5:45 p.m. I'm parked across from the Riverside Inn. Different car. I borrowed my colleague Brian's Honda, told him my truck was making a noise and I wanted to avoid driving it until I could get it checked. He handed over the keys without question. Jennifer's Subaru sits in the lot, third row back. I arrived 10 minutes after the GPS showed her location stopped moving. I've been here for 23 minutes. At 6:08, she emerges from room 127, not alone. The man is tall, maybe 6'2", athletic build. Dark hair, business casual, khakis and a button-down. Younger than me, 35 maybe. They stand by her car, and he says something that makes her laugh. She touches his chest. He leans down and kisses her, not rushed, not furtive. Like they have all the time in the world. I take 4 photos with my phone's telephoto lens. They separate. He walks to a silver Audi, Oregon plates. I photograph the license plate, 847 JKM. Jennifer gets in her Subaru. They leave separately, 2 minutes apart. I sit in Brian's Honda for another 5 minutes, documenting everything in my phone's notes app. Time, date, location, description. Then I drive to the office, actually work on the Riverside revisions for 2 hours, and arrive home at 9:15. Jennifer's making tea when I walk in. How'd the revisions go? Got them done, I say. Client should be happy. Good. She pours hot water over a chamomile tea bag. Yoga was great, really needed it. I nod, setting my laptop bag on the counter. Kids in bed? Emma's reading. Lucas is out cold. We stand in the kitchen and she sips her tea, and I wonder how many times we've had this exact conversation. How many Tuesday evenings she's come home from the motel and made tea and told me about yoga that never happened. I'm going to shower, I say. Upstairs, I forward the photos to my personal email, my backup Gmail, my Dropbox. I add them to the encrypted folder. Then I search the Oregon DMV database, publicly accessible for a small fee, and run the Audi's plates. The vehicle is registered to Travis Keller, age 34, address in Northwest Portland. The name matches the Travis K from the messages. I save the registration information, screenshot it, back it up. In the shower, I stand under water hot enough to hurt and think about the fact that I now know his full name, his age, where he lives, what he drives. The affair has a face, a license plate, a specific room number at a cheap motel. The information doesn't make it more real. It was already real. But it makes it concrete in a way that matters for what comes next. Wednesday, I contact 3 divorce attorneys. I use a burner email account created specifically for this purpose. I outline the situation in clinical terms. 16-year marriage, 2 minor children, documented evidence of ongoing affair, need for consultation regarding Oregon custody law and asset division. 2 respond within hours. The third by end of day. I schedule consultations for next week. Different days, different times. I'll tell Jennifer I have client meetings. Thursday evening, I'm in the basement organizing tax documents. April 15th, past 6 weeks ago, we filed an extension, as we do every year. The actual return is due October 15th. I've been procrastinating, as I do every year, leaving it until summer to deal with the spreadsheets and receipts. Our tax documents live in a filing cabinet next to my workbench. W-2s, 1099s, mortgage interest statements, charitable contributions. I pull the folder for 2023, intending to at least organize everything into categories. Jennifer's W-2 from the architectural firm where she works part-time. My W-2 from the firm. Mortgage interest from Chase. Property tax statement from Multnomah County. And then, a 1099 MISC form I don't recognize. Recipient, Jennifer Cole, SSN matching hers. Payer, Keller Consulting Group. Amount, $47,000. I stare at it for 15 seconds. Keller, Travis Keller. The form is dated January 31st, 2024, reporting income for tax year 2023. Freelance income. $47,000 paid to my wife by her lover's company. I set it on the workbench and pull up TurboTax on my laptop. We maintain a shared account, have for years. I log in with my credentials. There are 2 returns for 2023. The joint return we filed together in March, extended to October. Status: extension filed, return incomplete. And a second return, filed separately under Jennifer's Social Security number. Status: accepted by IRS, March 28, 2024. I open it. She filed as married filing separately. Claimed the $47,000 from Keller Consulting Group as freelance consulting income. Took deductions for home office, supplies, professional development. Net income, $38,200. Tax owed, $6,147. Status: paid in full. She filed a separate return, without telling me, reporting income from her lover's company. I sit at the workbench, and the 1099 form sits there, and upstairs I can hear the washing machine starting its cycle. Jennifer doing laundry. Normal Thursday evening routine. The basement stairs creak. I don't close the laptop, don't hide the form. I sit there as her footsteps descend, as she rounds the corner carrying a basket of darks, as she sees me at the workbench with TurboTax open and the 1099 form displayed like evidence at trial. She stops. The laundry basket tilts in her hands. Nathan. Keller Consulting Group, I say. My voice sounds normal, conversational. You filed separately. $47,000. The basket drops. The basement feels like it's shrinking around me. Jennifer's hand is still on the railing, her body frozen mid-descent, 1 foot hovering above the next step. The laundry basket rests against her hip. Her eyes lock onto the computer screen where Form 1099 NEC glows in the dim light. Keller Consulting Group, $47,000, her Social Security number. 3 seconds of silence stretch like hours. Nathan. Her voice comes out carefully neutral, the same tone she uses when Lucas tracks mud through the kitchen. What are you doing down here? I don't move from the workbench. My hand rests beside the mouse, casual, like I've just been checking email. Tax extension deadline is Monday. Thought I'd get our documents organized. Right. She descends 2 more steps, slower now. The washing machine hums in the corner, mid-cycle from the load I started an hour ago. I can handle that. You've got the Riverside project presentation tomorrow. Already finished the slides. I click to the next tab, her separately filed 1040 return. Found something interesting, though. Jennifer sets the laundry basket on the concrete floor. She's wearing her Thursday yoga outfit, black leggings, loose gray tank top, hair pulled back in a ponytail. Except it's Friday evening, and she came home from errands 20 minutes ago smelling faintly of cologne that isn't mine. What's that? She moves toward the workbench but stops 6 feet away. Her eyes scan the screen, and I watch the exact moment recognition hits. Her shoulders tense. Her fingers curl slightly at her sides. You filed a separate return. I keep my voice level, conversational. Under your SSN, for freelance income from Keller Consulting Group. Oh. She exhales, and I can almost see her brain cycling through responses, testing which story might work. Yeah, I meant to mention that. $47,000. I turn the monitor slightly toward her. That's a lot to forget to mention. It's not. She stops, recalculates. Travis hired me for some consulting work last year. Marketing strategy for his firm. I did it independently, so I had to file separately for the income. Travis. She says his first name so easily, like he's a casual acquaintance instead of the man whose hotel room she visits twice a week. Marketing strategy. I pull up the 1099 form details. Paid in 12 monthly installments of $3,916.67. Very precise amounts. He set up automatic payments through his accounting system. Convenient. I open another tab, the joint return I filed in March. Except we're married filing jointly, Jennifer. Community property state. Income earned during marriage is marital property. You can't just file separately without disclosure. Her jaw tightens. I talked to a tax person. They said it was fine for independent contractor work. Which tax person? Someone Travis recommended. Of course he did. I lean back in the chair, watching her. She's good at this. The concerned expression, the reasonable tone. 16 years of marriage and I'm just now seeing how good. Show me the work product, I say. What? The marketing strategy you developed. Reports, presentations, whatever you delivered for $47,000. Should be saved somewhere. She crosses her arms. It's on my laptop. Client confidential. Your laptop that you use for PTA emails and Pinterest boards. I have a separate work partition. Right. I click back to the TurboTax account history. Funny thing about shared accounts. I can see when returns were filed. You submitted this on March 10th at 11:47 p.m. I filed our joint return on March 15th at 2:30 p.m., 5 days later. So you filed first, claiming this income separately, then watched me file our joint return without mentioning it. That's not forgetting, Jennifer. That's deliberate. The washing machine clicks into spin cycle, the sound filling the silence between us. Jennifer's face has gone carefully blank, the expression she wears when Emma asks questions she doesn't want to answer. Why are you doing this? She asks quietly. Doing what? Reviewing our taxes? Acting like I committed some crime. I earned that money. I did work for it. I'm sure you worked very hard. I let the words hang there, weighted with everything I know. The hotel receipts, the photographs, the text messages I've read so many times I could recite them. God, I miss your hands on me. Tuesday can't come fast enough. Tell me what you want me to do. She stares at me, and something shifts in her expression. Wariness creeping in around the edges. What's this really about? Taxes. I pull up the IRS publication 555 I've had open in another tab. Specifically, married filing separately in community property states. Very specific rules about disclosure. You're required to report half of community income on each return or file a detailed statement explaining the division. Nathan, you didn't do that. I scroll to the relevant section, highlighting it with a cursor. You claimed the full $47,000 on your separate return, reported zero on our joint return, and provided no disclosure statement. That's not a mistake. That's tax fraud. The word hangs in the basement air like cordite. Jennifer's hands drop to her sides. You're being ridiculous. I'll amend it. Fix whatever technical issue. It's not technical. I stand up from the chair, and she takes an involuntary step back. You hid income from me, filed secretly, used our shared TurboTax account thinking I wouldn't check the history, all while taking money from the man you're sleeping with. There it is, out in the open. Her face goes white. I don't. The word comes out harder than I intend. I've read the messages, Jennifer, all of them. I've seen the hotel receipts on your credit card, the one you thought was just yours but is actually linked to our joint account. I've watched you lie to my face about Ashley and yoga and errands for 3 weeks. She reaches for the workbench, steadying herself. How long have you known? Does it matter? You've been, what? Spying on me? Going through my phone? You left it on the kitchen counter unlocked. Message from Travis K popped up while I was standing there. After that, yeah, I looked, and I found everything. The spin cycle winds down. In the sudden quiet, I can hear her breathing, fast and shallow. Nathan, I can explain. The affair? I don't need you to explain it. I understand it perfectly. I sit back down, pull up the file folder where I've saved everything. What I need you to explain is the money. $47,000 from your lover's consulting firm, paid monthly like a salary, filed separately like you were planning something. What exactly did you think was going to happen here? She doesn't answer. Her eyes move from the screen to my face to the stairs, calculating distances. Were you planning to leave? I ask. Is that what this is? Building your own income stream? Establishing financial independence? Getting ready to file for divorce? No, I wasn't. She stops. It's not like that. Then what is it like? I needed something that was mine. The words come out in a rush. Something separate from you, from the kids, from this house and this life. Travis offered me real work, real money for my skills, and I took it. Your skills, I keep my voice flat. In marketing. I have a degree in communications, Nathan. I worked in PR before Emma was born. I'm not just a housewife. I never said you were. You didn't have to. Her voice rises slightly. You go to your office every day, design buildings, make decisions that matter. I pack lunches and drive carpool and organize fundraisers. Travis saw me as someone capable of more. Travis saw you as someone he could sleep with and pay for the privilege. She flinches like I've slapped her. It wasn't like that. No? Then explain the payments. Monthly installments starting in January, continuing through December. 12 months of $4,900 minus taxes. That's not project-based consulting, Jennifer. That's a retainer. Or an allowance. I did work for him. Show me. I told you it's confidential. Bullshit. I stand up again, and this time I'm the one moving closer. You want to know what I think? I think Travis set up a payment structure to funnel you money. Maybe you asked for it. Maybe he offered. But either way, it gave you income independent of me. Income you could hide, build up, use later. And you filed separately to keep it off our joint return, hoping I wouldn't notice. Her chin lifts. You're making me sound like some kind of criminal. You committed tax fraud, Jennifer. That's literally a crime. I made a mistake with the filing. You made a choice. I move back to the computer, start pulling up documents I've already prepared. And now I'm making mine. What does that mean? I open the amended return form I drafted this afternoon. It means I'm amending our joint return to include your $47,000 as community property income, which means we owe additional taxes on it, taxes you should have reported. And I'm filing a disclosure with the IRS about your separate return that failed to report community property correctly. She goes very still. You're reporting me to the IRS? I'm correcting our tax situation. The IRS will decide what penalties apply. Nathan, you can't. I can. I already contacted a tax attorney this afternoon. Explained the situation. He's reviewing everything Monday morning. I click to another folder. I'm also subpoenaing Keller Consulting Group's financial records through my divorce attorney. If that $47,000 was payment for an affair, or if there's no legitimate work product to justify it, that's dissipation of marital assets. You took money from your lover and hid it from me. The court will want to know about that. Divorce attorney. She says it like she's testing the words. You've already filed? Not yet. Waiting until after the tax situation is resolved. But yes, I've retained counsel. Met with him twice this week. Jennifer sinks onto the bottom step, her legs seeming to give out. This is insane. You're destroying our family over what? Your affair? Your financial deception? Which part exactly should I overlook? We can fix this. We can go to counseling, work through it. No. The word comes out final, absolute. We can't. You made choices, Jennifer. You chose Travis. You chose to hide money. You chose to lie to my face every single day while I trusted you. Those choices have consequences. She looks up at me, and for the first time I see genuine fear in her eyes. The IRS penalties. Nathan, that could be thousands of dollars. Probably, plus interest, plus potential criminal charges if they determine it was intentional fraud. I pull up the penalty structure I researched. Failure to report income, failure to file proper community property disclosures, potential negligence penalties. Could be 20 to 40% of the unreported tax plus interest. I can't afford that. Should have thought of that before you filed separately. This is vindictive. You're punishing me. I'm protecting myself. I close the laptop, the screen going dark. You created a separate financial life without my knowledge. Filed taxes fraudulently. Took money from your lover and hid it. When we divorce, and we will divorce, I'm making sure that debt stays with you, not me. The IRS can pursue you for the penalties. The court can assign you the tax liability. I'm filing clean. She stares at me like I'm a stranger. Maybe I am. Maybe we both are. I never thought you could be this cold, she whispers. I never thought you could be this dishonest. I pick up the folder of documents, the evidence I've compiled over 3 weeks of careful investigation. You should probably call Travis. Let him know his firm's financial records are about to be subpoenaed. See if he's willing to help you pay the IRS penalties for the income he gave you. I walk past her toward the stairs. She doesn't move, doesn't try to stop me. Nathan. I pause, one foot on the bottom step. I'm sorry. I don't turn around. So am I. Upstairs, I can hear Emma practicing piano, Chopin, the piece she's been working on for her spring recital. Lucas's video game sound effects echo from his room. Normal family sounds in a house that stopped being a home 3 weeks ago when I read those messages. I leave Jennifer sitting in the basement with the laundry and the lies and the tax forms that will cost her everything. The hammer has dropped. Now we wait for the audit. The basement door closes behind me with a soft click. I can hear Jennifer still down there, not crying, not shouting, just silence that feels heavier than concrete. My hands aren't shaking anymore. That surprises me. 3 weeks ago, when I first saw Travis K's message on her phone, my hands shook for an hour. Now they're steady as I climb the stairs to the main floor. Emma's door is closed, music leaking through, something with too much bass and unintelligible lyrics. Lucas is in the living room, Xbox controller in hand, headset clamped over his ears. He doesn't look up. The normalcy of it creates a strange doubling effect in my mind. This moment exists in 2 realities simultaneously. In one, I'm just Dad walking through the house on a Saturday afternoon. In the other, I've just detonated a nuclear device in the basement and am waiting for the shockwave to reach the upper floors. I move to my home office and close the door. The TurboTax account is still open on my laptop. I've had it synced across devices for years, convenience that just became a weapon. I scroll through Jennifer's separate filing again, studying the 1099 MISC form from Keller Consulting Group. Box 7. Non-employee compensation, $47,000. The amount is too round, too clean. Real consulting work generates invoices with irregular numbers. $4,650 for this project, $6,200 for that one. This looks like what it probably is. Monthly payments of $3,916.67 over 12 months. Roughly $4,000 a month to my wife from her lover. I open a new browser window and navigate to the IRS website. Form 3949A. Information Referral. The form used to report suspected tax fraud. I've never filled one out before, never had reason to. The instructions are straightforward. Describe the violation, provide taxpayer information, attach supporting documentation. My cursor hovers over the first field. This is the point of no return. Everything before this moment, the GPS tracking, the photographs, even the confrontation downstairs, could theoretically be walked back. Couples recover from affairs. Therapy exists. Reconciliation happens, or so the statistics say. But reporting your wife to the IRS for tax fraud? That's a door that only swings one direction. I think about the children upstairs. Emma, who still asks me to check her math homework even though she's better at calculus than I am. Lucas, who built an entire Minecraft replica of our house, room by room, detail by detail. What I'm about to do will reshape their lives in ways I can't fully predict. Then I think about the $47,000. About Jennifer filing separately without telling me, creating a financial identity I knew nothing about. About the lies, not just about Travis, but about money, about taxes, about the fundamental structure of our marriage. In Oregon, we have community property laws. Her income is my income. My income is hers. That's not just romantic sentiment. It's legal reality. She violated that reality, deliberately and repeatedly. I start typing. The form takes 20 minutes to complete. I attach PDFs of both returns, the joint filing I submitted in April and the separate filing Jennifer submitted under her SSN. I attach the 1099 MISC from Keller Consulting Group. In the narrative section, I keep my language clinical, factual. Taxpayer filed separate return without spouse's knowledge while residing in community property state. Income from 1099 MIS not reported on joint return. Suspected unreported community property income. I don't mention the affair. The IRS doesn't care about infidelity. They care about money and whether they receive their proper share. Before I click Submit, I save a copy to 3 different cloud services. Then I photograph the screen with my phone. Documentation of documentation. It's become reflexive now, this compulsion to create redundant records of everything. I submit the form at 2:47 p.m. The confirmation page appears. Your information has been received. The IRS will review and take appropriate action. Due to privacy laws, we cannot inform you of any action taken. I close the laptop. The house is still quiet. I can hear the Xbox sound effects from the living room, the muffled music from Emma's room. Normal Saturday sounds. I check my phone. No messages from Jennifer. The GPS tracking app shows her phone still in the house, still in the basement. She hasn't moved. I open my email and compose a new message to Richard Brennan, the divorce attorney I consulted 2 weeks ago. Brennan is 56, handles about 30 divorces a year, came recommended by a colleague whose brother used him. Not flashy, not aggressive, just methodical. That's what I need. Richard. Events have accelerated. I confronted my wife this afternoon regarding the separate tax filing we discussed. She's now aware I know about both the affair and the unreported income. I've submitted Form 3949A to the IRS reporting the filing irregularity. I need to move forward with filing. Can we meet Monday morning? I have all documentation ready. Nathan Cole. I send it at 2:52 p.m. Brennan usually responds within a few hours, even on weekends. The basement door opens. I hear Jennifer's footsteps on the stairs. Slow, deliberate. She's not running, not storming. The footsteps move through the kitchen, pause, then continue toward the bedrooms. Our bedroom door closes. Not a slam, just a normal close. The restraint in that sound is somehow more unsettling than anger would be. I wait. 5 minutes pass. 10. My phone buzzes. Richard Brennan. Monday, 8 a.m. works. My office. Bring all documentation, including any new developments. We'll file this week. I respond with a thumbs up emoji, then immediately regret it. There's something absurd about responding to your divorce attorney with an emoji, but he doesn't seem to care. The house remains quiet. I check the GPS app again. Jennifer's phone is now in our bedroom. Stationary. I imagine her sitting on the bed, or lying down, or staring at her own phone. I imagine her calling Travis, telling him everything just imploded. I imagine his panic when he realizes his business records are about to be subpoenaed, that his consulting firm's books will be examined by lawyers and possibly IRS auditors. Good. I open my laptop again and navigate to our joint bank account. The account we've shared for 16 years, where our paychecks deposit, where the mortgage payment auto-drafts. I study the recent transactions, looking for anything else I might have missed. The grocery store charges, gas stations, Emma's orthodontist, Lucas's soccer fees. Everything looks normal until I notice a pattern in the ATM withdrawals. Every 2 weeks, like clockwork, $300 cash withdrawal from the ATM near Jennifer's office. I scroll back through 6 months of statements. The pattern holds. 12 withdrawals, $3,600 in cash, removed from our joint account in amounts small enough not to trigger attention. Cash is untraceable. Cash is what you use when you don't want records. I screenshot each withdrawal, noting the dates and locations. Then I create a new folder in my cloud storage, Financial Evidence. The screenshots go there, along with copies of both tax returns, the 1099 form, and the IRS complaint confirmation. My phone buzzes. Not a call, a notification from the home security system. The front door has opened. I pull up the camera feed on my phone and see Jennifer's car backing out of the driveway. The timestamp reads 3:14 p.m. I watch the feed until her car disappears from frame. The GPS app shows her phone moving north on Fairview Avenue. I watch the blue dot travel through familiar streets, past the Albertsons where we buy groceries, past Emma's middle school, past the park where Lucas plays soccer. The dot turns onto Highway 20, heading east out of Boise, toward the address I have listed for Travis Keller. I should feel something: jealousy, rage, betrayal, renewed. Instead, I feel nothing except a cold satisfaction. She's going to him. She's going to tell him everything, and he's going to realize that his affair with a married woman just became a legal liability that could destroy his business. Let them panic together. I close the GPS app and open my document folder. The divorce filing Brennan prepared 2 weeks ago is there, ready, except for my final signature. Idaho is a no-fault divorce state, but fault still matters for property division and spousal support. Adultery, financial deception, tax fraud, these things matter. I read through the petition again. The language is dry, clinical, irreconcilable differences, equitable division of assets, best interests of minor children. Nothing in this legal language captures what it feels like to discover your wife has been living a parallel life, creating secret financial structures, lying to the IRS, lying to you. But it doesn't need to. The law doesn't care about feelings. It cares about facts. And I have facts. Lots of them. The Riverside Inn parking lot is empty when I pull in at 10:47 p.m. Jennifer's Subaru isn't here. The GPS tracker shows her phone stationary at Travis's condo in the Pearl District, 15 minutes away from our house, 40 minutes from where I'm sitting. I cut the engine and stare at room 217. Dark windows. The same room where I photographed them 3 days ago, her hand on his chest as they stood in the doorway, her mouth on his neck. The same room where she told me she was at yoga. My phone vibrates. Michael Brennan, my divorce attorney. Filed at 4:47 this afternoon, he says, without preamble. Petition for dissolution, temporary restraining order on asset dissipation, and emergency hearing for temporary custody scheduled for next Wednesday. She'll be served tomorrow morning at the house. She's not at the house. Where is she? Her lover's condo. Has been since 6:30. A pause. The one who paid her the $47,000? That's the one. Good. Process server can try there first. I'll need the address. Papers rustle on his end. IRS confirmed receipt of your Form 3949A. They won't tell you anything about their investigation timeline, but the examiner I spoke with said cases involving unreported 1099 income and potential fraudulent separate filing usually move within 60 to 90 days. 60 to 90 days. Jennifer has no idea what's coming. She thinks she can explain this away, convince me the money was legitimate, that the affair was a mistake, that we can work through this. She doesn't understand that I've already moved past anger into something colder, more precise. The subpoena for Keller Consulting's records, I ask. Filed with the divorce petition. He'll have 10 days to produce all financial records, contracts, correspondence, and payment documentation related to Jennifer. If there's no legitimate work product, it establishes the payments as dissipation of marital assets, or worse, structured payments for an affair that she then hid from you through tax fraud. I watch a car pull into the lot, slow down near room 217, then continue to the office. Not her. Michael, the community property issue. Walk me through it again. Oregon's not a pure community property state, but income earned during marriage is generally marital property. She filed separately, claimed the $47,000 as her individual income, and paid taxes on it as if she were single. But she wasn't. You were married, living together, sharing finances. That income should have been reported on your joint return, or at minimum, she should have disclosed it to you before filing separately. Which she didn't. That's where the fraud comes in. She actively concealed income from you, her spouse, then filed a tax return that materially misrepresented her marital status and income situation. The IRS takes that seriously. And the amended return? I've got your accountant working on it. We'll file an amended joint return that includes the $47,000, pay the additional taxes owed, and then in the divorce proceedings, we'll argue that she should be responsible for all penalties, interest, and fees resulting from her concealment. Clean hands doctrine. You didn't know about the income. You corrected it as soon as you discovered it, and you reported her fraud to the IRS. She's the one who lied. The GPS tracker updates. Jennifer's phone is moving. South on Broadway, heading toward the interstate. She's leaving his place, I say. Coming home? Too early to tell. Nathan, listen to me. When she gets served tomorrow, things are going to escalate fast. She'll be angry, probably scared. She might try to drain accounts, hide assets, turn the kids against you. Document everything. Every conversation, every text, every interaction with Emma and Lucas. Don't engage emotionally. Don't fight in front of the kids. Just document and report to me. I understand. And Nathan? Stay away from Travis Keller. I know what you're feeling, but any contact with him, any confrontation, will hurt you in court. Let the subpoena do the work. I end the call and watch the tracker. Jennifer's heading west on Burnside now, away from home. Not coming back tonight? My phone shows 11:03 p.m. Emma and Lucas are asleep. I texted Emma before I left, told her I had to check on a project site, that Mom was out with a friend. She sent back a thumbs-up emoji. 14 years old and already fluent in the language of parental absence. The amended tax return will cost me roughly $8,400 in additional federal taxes, plus $2,000 in state taxes. I'll pay it. Clean hands. Then, the IRS will come for Jennifer with penalties: failure to file jointly, substantial understatement of income, possible fraud penalties if they determine the concealment was intentional. 20 to 75% of the underpayment, plus interest compounding daily. She'll owe somewhere between $15,000 and $45,000 before this is over. And that's just the IRS. The divorce will pin the entire tax debt on her as a consequence of her fraud. Michael's already drafting the motion. I start the engine and pull out of the Riverside Inn lot. The tracker shows Jennifer stopped at an address on N.W. Thurman. I pull it up on Google Maps. Keller Consulting Group. His office. 11:47 p.m. and she's at his office. Warning him, probably. Telling him about the confrontation, about my questions, about the IRS form I mentioned. Travis Keller has no idea what's coming either. The subpoena will hit his business like an audit, demanding every email, every contract, every payment record related to Jennifer. If he can't produce legitimate work product, deliverables, reports, consulting documents, it proves the payments were personal. Dissipation of marital assets. Money he paid her for the affair, money that should have been disclosed, money she hid. And if he falsified business records to disguise personal payments as consulting fees, that's a whole different problem. Tax fraud on his end. Potential criminal exposure. I drive home through empty streets. The house is dark, except for the porch light Jennifer left on. I disabled that light's timer 2 months ago and never fixed it. She's been turning it on manually every evening, a small domestic gesture that now feels like evidence of her double life. Coming home to me and the kids, performing normalcy, while carrying on with Travis. The basement stairs creak under my weight. My laptop is still open on the workbench, TurboTax still displaying her separate return. I close it and open the folder Michael sent me this afternoon. Petition for dissolution of marriage. 64 pages of legal language that dismantles 16 years in numbered paragraphs. Paragraph 12. Petitioner alleges that respondent has engaged in financial misconduct, including but not limited to concealment of income, fraudulent tax filing, and dissipation of marital assets. Paragraph 23. Petitioner requests that the court order respondent to be solely responsible for all tax liabilities, penalties, and interest resulting from respondent's separate filing for tax year 2023. Paragraph 31. Petitioner requests primary custody of the minor children, with supervised visitation for respondent pending full custody evaluation. I didn't ask for supervised visitation. Michael added that. Leverage, he said. We'll trade it away for something else. Asset division, tax debt responsibility, whatever. But we start from a strong position. The GPS tracker updates. Jennifer's leaving Travis's office, heading east, toward home. I close the laptop and climb the stairs. By the time I reach the kitchen, I can see headlights turning onto our street. I stand at the window and watch her pull into the driveway, cut the engine, sit motionless in the dark car. She sits there for 4 minutes. I count them on the microwave clock. 4 minutes of her sitting in her car, gathering herself, preparing her face, deciding what to say. When she finally comes through the door, her eyes are red. Not crying now, but recently. She sees me in the kitchen and stops. We need to talk, she says. Tomorrow, I'm going to bed. Nathan, please, I can explain. Tomorrow, after you've been served. Her face goes pale. Served? Divorce petition. Process server will be here around 9 a.m. You might want to be dressed. I walk past her toward the stairs. She grabs my arm. I stop but don't turn around. You filed already? Her voice cracks. You're not even going to try. Try what, Jennifer? Try to understand why you filed a fraudulent tax return? Try to forgive $47,000 in hidden income? Try to forget the GPS tracker showing you at Travis's condo for the last 4 hours. Her hand drops from my arm. You're tracking me? I'm documenting everything. Every lie, every hotel visit, every dollar. And tomorrow, it all becomes part of the court record. I climb the stairs without looking back. Behind me, I hear her sink onto the bottom step. Hear the small sound she makes that might be a sob or might be something else. My phone vibrates in my pocket. Michael texting. Process server confirmed for 9 a.m. Stay strong. I lie in bed, our bed, and stare at the ceiling. In 16 hours, Jennifer will be served. In 10 days, Travis will receive his subpoena. In 60 to 90 days, the IRS will begin their examination. The machinery is in motion now. All I have to do is wait. The process server's name is David Garrett, and he arrives at 8:47 a.m. while I'm watching from my truck parked 3 houses down. I've been here since 7. Coffee going cold in the cup holder, tracking Jennifer's phone on the dashboard mount. She's still inside. The blue dot hasn't moved since she came home at 11:23 p.m. last night. 47 minutes at Travis's condo, then straight back. David walks up the driveway carrying a manila envelope and a clipboard. Professional? Unremarkable. He rings the doorbell twice. Jennifer opens the door in her bathrobe. I can see her face change when David identifies himself, hands her the envelope. She takes it, signs the clipboard. The whole transaction lasts maybe 90 seconds. David walks back to his car. Jennifer stands in the doorway holding the envelope like it might explode. She doesn't open it, just closes the door. I give it 5 minutes. Then my phone rings. Nathan. Her voice is tight, controlled. We need to talk about this. We talked last night? You can't actually think this is insane. You're filing for divorce over a misunderstanding about consulting income? I let the silence stretch. 3 seconds. 5. The petition lists adultery as grounds, I say. Page 3, Section 2B. The tax fraud is just financial evidence. There's no adultery. There's no fraud. I did legitimate work for Travis's company and you're twisting it into something? 12 payments of $3,916.67, I say. Exactly $47,000 divided by 12. Who structures consulting payments that way? Who pays monthly retainers for freelance work? Plenty of companies. Show me the contract. Silence. Show me the scope of work, I continue. Show me the deliverables, the invoices you submitted, the work product you created. Show me anything that proves you earned that money through actual consulting services. I don't have to prove anything to you. No, I agree. You have to prove it to the IRS and to the judge. Michael already filed a motion to compel production of all documents related to your relationship with Keller Consulting Group. Discovery starts in 30 days. I hear her breathing on the other end. Fast, shallow. You're going to subpoena Travis's company? His business records, yes. Bank statements, payment authorizations, email correspondence. Any documentation of the consulting arrangement you claim existed. The court will want to see everything. Nathan, please, think about what you're doing to the kids. I'm thinking about them constantly, I say. That's why I'm requesting primary custody. It's in the petition, page 7. You can't take my children from me. I'm not taking them. I'm asking the court to consider which parent has demonstrated better judgment and financial responsibility. Which parent has been honest? Which parent has prioritized the family's well-being over their own desires? Her voice drops. You self-righteous bastard. I'll be at the office, I say. My attorney suggests we communicate through counsel from this point forward. Michael's contact information is in the petition. I end the call. The blue dot starts moving at 9:15 a.m., south on Maple, then east on Riverside. She's heading toward Travis's office again. I don't follow this time. I drive to my own office, park in my usual spot, and spend the next 3 hours reviewing the Hastings project drawings. The work is mechanical, comforting, lines and measurements and load calculations that follow immutable rules. If you do the math correctly, the structure stands. If you don't, it falls. Simple. At 12:30, my phone buzzes. Email from Michael Brennan. Subject: motion filed. Temporary orders, hearing scheduled. Nathan. Court has scheduled the temporary orders hearing for April 18th at 2:06 p.m. This will address temporary custody, spousal support, and division of assets pending the final divorce decree. I've filed motions requesting 1. Primary physical custody of minor children. 2. Zero spousal support based on her undisclosed income. 3. Exclusive use of marital residence. 4. Freezing of all joint accounts pending forensic accounting. Jennifer's attorney, assuming she retains one, will have until April 11th to file responsive pleadings. I've also filed the motion to compel production of documents from Keller Consulting Group. Expect resistance. Travis will likely need to retain separate counsel. The IRS typically takes 6 to 8 weeks to initiate an audit after receiving Form 3949A. Your amended joint return protects you from joint liability for the underreported income. If they assess penalties, they'll pursue her separately. Call if you have questions. MB. I read it twice. Then I forward it to my personal email and delete it from my work account. The blue dot is still at Travis's office, has been for 2 hours and 47 minutes. At 3:15 p.m., Jennifer calls again. I let it go to voicemail. At 3:22 p.m., she calls from a different number. I answer. Stop screening my calls. I told you to communicate through your attorney. I don't have an attorney yet, and I need to talk to you about the kids. They're going to have questions when they get home from school. What are you planning to tell them? I don't know. That's why I'm calling you. We should present a united front. Tell them together that we're having some problems and… No. No? I'm not presenting a united front with you. I'm not pretending this is mutual. You had an affair, you hid income, you filed fraudulent tax returns. Those are facts. I'm not helping you spin them. So what? You're going to tell our 14-year-old daughter that her mother is a cheating whore? I'm going to tell them the truth in age-appropriate language. That you were unfaithful, that I've filed for divorce, that we're working out custody arrangements. Nathan, please. Are you still at Travis's office? Silence. I can see your location, I say. You've been there for 3 hours. Are you strategizing? Getting your stories straight? Making sure the business records are clean before the subpoena arrives? I'm trying to figure out how to salvage my life from the wreckage you're creating. I'm not creating anything. I'm responding to what you created. You made these choices. You structured these payments. You filed that separate return. All I'm doing is making sure there are consequences. You want consequences? Fine. I'll fight you on custody. I'll fight you on the house. I'll drag this out until you've spent every dollar we have on legal fees. That's your right, I say. But Michael estimates this will cost me about $30,000 in attorney fees if it goes to trial. You'll spend the same, plus whatever the IRS penalties end up being. He's estimating $15,000 to $45,000 depending on whether they determine it was intentional fraud or negligent underreporting. Plus, you'll need to pay the back taxes on that $47,000, which is about $12,000 in federal and state combined. So you're looking at somewhere between $57,000 and $90,000 in total liability. I pause. Let the numbers sink in. Meanwhile, I'll be living in the house with the kids, paying my attorney from my salary, and watching you burn through whatever savings you have left. The math isn't in your favor. You've really thought this through. I'm an architect, I say. I think everything through. I end the call. Emma texts me at 4:05 p.m. Mom says you guys need to talk to us about something when you get home. What's going on? I stare at the message. 14 years old. Honor roll student. Varsity volleyball. She deserves better than this. I'll be home at 6 We'll talk then. Is everything okay? We'll talk at 6, Boweyes. She doesn't respond. I close the Hastings drawings and open the folder labeled Divorce Financial. Inside are printed copies of everything: the 1099 forms, the separate tax return, the bank statements showing the 12 deposits, the ATM withdrawals, the hotel receipts from the GPS tracking, the text messages. I've organized it all chronologically: color-coded tabs, summary sheets with calculations. It looks like a construction document set. Professional, thorough, irrefutable. Michael was right about one thing: this is exceptionally well documented. But I don't need him to tell me that. I already know. I built this case the same way I build structures. One piece at a time. Each element supporting the next. Each connection verified and reinforced. And like any well-designed structure, it won't collapse under pressure. It will stand. The conference room on the 14th floor of the Bancroft building has floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Portland. Rain streaks the glass, blurring the city lights into watercolor smears. It's 6:47 p.m. on a Thursday in late September, 5 months since I found those messages on Jennifer's phone. Across the mahogany table sits Jennifer and her attorney, Patricia Mills, a sharp woman in her 50s who charges $425 an hour and has a reputation for aggressive litigation. Next to me, Michael Brennan arranges documents into neat stacks, his movements economical and precise. Let's review the terms one more time, Patricia says, sliding a bound document across the table. Make sure we're all clear before signatures. I've read this settlement agreement 17 times. I could recite it from memory, but I pick it up anyway, scanning the provisions that will officially end my marriage. Primary physical custody of Emma and Lucas to Nathan Cole. Jennifer receives alternate weekends and 1 evening per week, supervised for the first 6 months by a court-appointed monitor. Emma stopped speaking to her mother in June, after the full truth came out during the custody evaluation. Lucas still takes Jennifer's calls, but they're brief, awkward. The therapist says they need time. The marital residence at 2847 Maple Street transfers entirely to Nathan. Jennifer waives all equity claims in exchange for her 401k, remaining intact. The house is worth $680,000. We owe $340,000 on the mortgage. Jennifer's walking away from $170,000 in equity to keep her retirement account. Michael called it a panic move. I call it the consequence of weak negotiating position. Jennifer Cole assumes full responsibility for all tax liabilities, penalties, and interest related to tax year 2023 separate filing, including IRS penalties assessed August 2024 in the amount of $34,147. The IRS moved faster than Michael predicted. Their examination took 11 weeks. They determined the separate filing constituted intentional disregard of rules and regulations and assessed penalties at 75% of the underpayment, plus interest. Jennifer tried to negotiate an installment plan, but the IRS doesn't care about her financial hardship. They want their money. All payments received by Jennifer Cole from Keller Consulting Group in tax year 2023 are deemed dissipation of marital assets. Jennifer shall reimburse the marital estate $2,300, one half of $47,000, within 90 days of final decree. Travis Keller's business records told the whole story. No contracts, no scope of work, no deliverables, just 12 payments authorized with the memo line, consulting services, and nothing to back them up. His attorney tried to claim attorney-client privilege, but the judge wasn't having it. When the records came out in discovery, even Patricia Mills looked disgusted. Travis and Jennifer aren't together anymore. That ended in May, about 3 weeks after the subpoena landed. Apparently, he wasn't interested in a relationship that came with IRS audits and legal liability. Neither party shall pay spousal support to the other. Jennifer wanted $3,000 a month. Michael laughed in Patricia's face. Your client hid income, committed tax fraud, and dissipated marital assets. She's lucky we're not seeking reimbursement for attorney fees. We settled at zero. I set down the agreement and look at Jennifer. She's lost weight. Her face is thinner, harder. The blonde hair she always kept perfectly styled is pulled back in a simple ponytail. She won't meet my eyes. The tax debt, she says quietly. I need more time. 90 days isn't enough to come up with $35,000. That's between you and the IRS, Michael says. Our settlement addresses the marital portion only. I'll have to declare bankruptcy. Patricia puts a hand on Jennifer's arm. A warning. Don't show weakness. But it's too late. I can see it in her face, the full weight of what she's lost. The house, the kids, her financial stability, the man she thought she loved. All of it gone, replaced by debt and supervised visitation and a one-bedroom apartment in Gresham. I should feel triumphant, vindicated. Something. Instead, I feel tired. The payment to the marital estate, I say. The $23,500. I'll waive it. Michael's head snaps toward me. Nathan. I'll waive it, I repeat. She can keep the money. Use it toward the IRS debt. Jennifer's eyes finally meet mine. Confused. Suspicious. Why? Because Emma and Lucas are going to need braces and college funds and 1,000 other things. Because every dollar you pay me is a dollar you can't contribute to their expenses. Because I don't need your money, Jennifer. I never did. Patricia and Michael exchange glances. This wasn't in the script. That's generous, Patricia says carefully. We'll need to amend paragraph 8. Fine, I look at Jennifer. But the custody terms are non-negotiable, and you sign a statement acknowledging the tax fraud. Full admission. No hedging, no mistakes were made language. You admit what you did, it goes in the court record, and we're done. Jennifer's jaw tightens. You want me to confess in writing. I want the truth documented, for Emma and Lucas. So when they're older and they ask what happened, there's a clear record. Not your version or my version. The truth. The truth, she repeats bitterly. The truth is you couldn't forgive one mistake, one affair. You had to destroy everything. I didn't destroy anything. You did that yourself the moment you decided $47,000 in a cheap hotel room were worth more than 16 years of marriage. The room goes silent except for the rain against the windows. Patricia clears her throat. I need to consult with my client privately. They step out into the hallway. Through the glass wall, I watch them talk. Jennifer gestures, animated. Patricia shakes her head, points back toward the conference room. Jennifer slumps against the wall. Michael leans toward me. You didn't have to give up the $23,000. I know. That's money you're entitled to, money she took from you. It's money that will keep her from complete financial collapse, which means she can still contribute to the kids' expenses, which means I don't have to cover everything myself. That's practical, Michael says, but it's also merciful, after everything she did. I watch Jennifer through the glass. She's crying now, Patricia handing her tissues. Mercy isn't for her, I say. It's for me. I don't want to be the person who grinds his ex-wife into dust. I just want to be done. They return 5 minutes later. Jennifer's eyes are red, but her expression is composed. We accept the amended terms, Patricia says. Jennifer will provide the written statement acknowledging the tax filing irregularities. Not fraud, irregularities. I almost push back, but Michael catches my eye and shakes his head slightly. Pick your battles. Fine, I say. We spend the next 40 minutes signing documents. The settlement agreement, the parenting plan, the property division, the quitclaim deed transferring the house. Page after page, reducing 16 years to legal clauses and notarized signatures. When it's done, Patricia and Jennifer gather their copies and leave without ceremony. No handshake, no final words. Just the click of the conference room door and the sound of heels fading down the hallway. Michael starts packing his briefcase. Judge Reynolds will sign the decree next week. You'll be officially divorced by October 1st. That's it? That's it. He snaps the briefcase closed. You did good, Nathan. This was as clean as these things get. Clean. I think about the GPS tracking, the IRS complaint, the subpoenas. About Emma refusing to see her mother and Lucas crying himself to sleep. About the house that's now solely mine but feels emptier than it ever did. Doesn't feel clean, I say. It never does. Michael heads toward the door, then pauses. For what it's worth? You could have been vindictive. You had every right. But you weren't. That matters. After he leaves, I sit alone in the conference room and watch the rain. The city lights blur and refocus, blur and refocus. My phone buzzes. Emma. When are you coming home? On my way. Pizza, okay for dinner? Always. I gather my copies of the settlement documents and ride the elevator down to the parking garage. The truck starts on the first try. Small mercies. Traffic is light heading east on Burnside. The house is lit when I pull into the driveway. Through the kitchen window, I can see Emma at the table, laptop open, probably doing homework. Lucas is visible in the living room, building something with Legos. Normal. Ordinary. The life we're rebuilding from the wreckage. I sit in the truck for a moment, engine idling, and think about the question Emma asked me last month. Did you ever love Mom? Yes, I told her. Very much. Then how could you do this to her? And I tried to explain that love isn't enough when trust is gone. That marriage requires both honesty and affection, and you can't sustain a partnership when one person is living a double life. That I didn't do this to her mother. Her mother did it to herself through choices that had consequences. I don't know if she understood. She's 14. The world still seems like it should be simpler than it is. But she'll learn. They both will. That actions have weight. That deception has costs. That you can't build anything lasting on a foundation of lies. I cut the engine and head inside. 3 years later. Emma graduates high school on a Saturday in June, wearing her blue cap and gown, honor cords draped around her neck. She's been accepted to Oregon State, full academic scholarship, planning to study engineering. Lucas sits next to me in the bleachers, 17 now, taller than I am, already scouted by college soccer programs. Jennifer is here. 4 rows back, sitting with her sister. We're civil now, polite exchanges at pickup and drop-off, brief conversations about the kids' schedules. She remarried last year, a guy named Tom who works in pharmaceutical sales. They seem happy, or happy enough. The IRS debt took her 2 years to pay off. She declared bankruptcy initially, but the tax debt survived it. You can't discharge IRS liabilities through bankruptcy. She ended up on a payment plan, $800 a month until it was cleared. Tom helped with the final payments, from what I understand. She sees Emma and Lucas every other weekend now. Unsupervised, since she completed the parenting classes the court required. The kids have thawed toward her, especially Lucas. Emma is still guarded, but she takes her mother's calls. Small steps. The principal calls Emma's name. She crosses the stage, accepts her diploma, smiles for the camera. I take 17 photos, knowing I'll delete all but 2. After the ceremony, we gather in the parking lot. Emma hugs me, then Lucas, then walks over to Jennifer. They embrace, brief but genuine, progress. Proud of you, kiddo, Jennifer says. Thanks, Mom. Tom hangs back, respectful of the family moment. He's good at that, reading the room, knowing when to give space. I appreciate it. Jennifer catches my eye across the parking lot. A small nod. Acknowledgement. I nod back. We're not friends. We'll never be friends. But we're functional co-parents managing the aftermath of a marriage that imploded because one person chose deception over honesty. That's enough. That evening, I sit on the back deck with a beer, watching the sun set over the neighborhood. The house is quiet. Emma is out celebrating with friends, Lucas at a teammate's house. Just me and the silence and the long shadows across the yard. I think about that morning 5 years ago when Jennifer's phone lit up with a message from Travis K. How my life split into before and after in the span of 3 seconds. I think about the choices I made in response. The GPS tracking, the IRS complaint, the scorched earth approach to the divorce. Whether I would do it differently if I could go back. The answer is no. Not because I'm proud of how it unfolded. There's no pride in destroying a marriage, even one already broken. But because the alternative was accepting the lies, the hidden money, the double life. And I couldn't do that. Not and still respect myself. Not and still model integrity for my kids. Jennifer made choices. I made choices in response. The consequences rippled outward, touched everyone, changed everything. That's how it works. Actions and reactions. Cause and effect. The architecture of consequences. My phone buzzes. Emma. Thanks for everything, Dad. Love you. I type back, love you too, proud of the person you're becoming. And I am. Both of them, Emma and Lucas, are turning into good humans despite the chaos of their parents' divorce. They're honest, they're kind, they work hard. They know that trust matters, that integrity matters, that the choices you make define who you are. They learned those lessons the hard way, watching their mother lose everything because she chose deception. But they learned them. The sun drops below the roofline across the street, painting the sky orange and purple. I finish my beer and head inside to clean up the kitchen. Tomorrow, Emma and I are driving to the coast. A graduation trip, just the two of us. Lucas has a soccer tournament. Jennifer is taking him to that. Co-parenting, shared custody, the new normal. It's not the life I imagined when I proposed to Jennifer on Cannon Beach 21 years ago. But it's the life we have now, built from the ruins of what came before. And it's enough. Because in the end, that's what integrity costs. Everything you thought you had in exchange for everything you actually need. The truth, your self-respect, your children's trust. I'd make that trade again, every single time.